Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Hotdog and Handshake podcast. I am very excited to have the guest on that we have today. I am going to preface this interview with something that I never in my entire life thought I would have to do, but I'm going to preface this podcast interview with a trigger warning. Those of you that are going to be triggered by anything from politics to COVID, this is your opportunity to not listen to this podcast and find something else to do. Otherwise, we are going to move on with our guest, who a lot of you know is Drake Younger. Ladies and gentlemen, Drake Wuertz, thank you for being a part of the Hotdog and Handshake podcast today.
Hey, Sean, thank you so much. I love the name of your show. When I first broke in as a young man in the Evansville Coliseum, a 16-year-old kid breaking into the business of professional wrestling on Wednesday nights, that was indeed our payday, a hot dog and a handshake. Every now and again, we get a hamburger, and sometimes that hamburger would have cheese. So sometimes it'd be a cheeseburger. So that was extra bonus.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's like an extra bonus there. And hey, people are still getting paid with hot dogs and handshakes, which is incredibly sad. But hey, man, thank you again. Hey, thanks again for taking time out. I know you got your family there and you're trying to get babies put to sleep and everything else. But I appreciate you taking a few minutes. We're going to roll through some stuff here, man. We're not going to get in depth talking about a lot of things. I may just ask you a question. You can say yay or nay or give me your answer, and we'll move right on to the next. But this is an opportunity for everybody that's listening to this to hear answers directly from your mouth instead of searching the internet for dirt sheets that have less than half of an idea what they're talking about. So we're going to set the record straight. We're going to give you a chance to talk, and maybe we'll change some people's minds. Maybe they'll say things a little bit differently.
Sounds good, brother. Let's have at it.
All right. First thing I want to talk about here, when we announced that we were going to have you as a podcast guest, and we've had several so far. On my personal Facebook, I made a post because I was excited to have you. And it turned into a 20, 30, 40 plus comment thing about how awful your beliefs were, how horrible a person you were. And people were mad that we were having you. I personally, that doesn't bother me. But it opened my eyes to what a lot of people feel about certain subjects and made me thin out my friend base a little bit due to some of those comments. But what is your general response to somebody who says, man, that Drake Wuertz guy, he's a horrible person. I can't believe people are having him on shows. I can't believe people are having him on podcasts. What is your short answer to that particular situation? What do you say to that?
Yeah, well, first and foremost, I don't hold myself accountable to those people. I'm not at their mercy. My life is not dictated by how they feel about me, either my ability in the ring, or me as Drake Younger, or me as Drake Wuertz, the Christian, the husband, the father. My life is not dictated by their thoughts. My life is dictated by my Heavenly Father, Jesus Christ. That's the only person that I need to hold my standards to. So I'm not necessarily concerned about how they feel or if they're trying to get me, quote unquote, canceled per se. That's just the nature that we're in, the nature of the beast that we're in now. If you have any kind of view that is opposing to the majority narrative of the people on the internet that are that's all they do. And a lot of these people, I'll tell you, Sean, they're not real people. A lot of them are bots and trolls. You would have no idea how much trolling I get on my page. Ever since, now that the handcuffs are off, I just put my Facebook public because I was like, I'm just going to share. I'm just going to share everything. It is what it is. If you don't like it, don't follow me. And it's so crazy. There are so many people that's all they do all day is just troll people that have an opposite opinion or opposite view of them. And, where I'm at now when it comes to my platform, I'm going to represent that conservative patriot that feels like they don't have a voice, because wrestling has gotten so woke in so many areas, and so, hey, I'm certainly not going to be diving deep back into the game of professional wrestling. But with the platform that the good Lord's blessed me with, I am going to represent those that feel like they don't have no voice.
Hey, that's about as plain and simple of an answer as you can get.
Mm-hmm.
We were talking earlier offline that, I recently turned 45. I remember the days when there was no such thing as cancel culture.
Happy birthday, by the way.
Hey, thanks, man. I appreciate that. Getting older than dirt.
That's it. No. You look great.
Thank you. And you do as well, man. I'd say probably the best shape of your life you look like.
I feel incredible. Incredible.
Good.
Yeah, you were saying there, you remember the days where there wasn't this mob mentality, right? Is that what you're saying?
Exactly. There was no such thing as cancel culture. There was no such thing as Facebook. There were no platforms for people to speak out like that. If you wanted to say something to somebody, you actually picked up a telephone and dialed the number and talked to them face to face. And I think the internet in general has drastically changed situations like the ones that we're talking about right now. And it's unfortunate. And it's also unfortunate that it's probably never going to go back to the way it was. I think we're stuck with what we're stuck with. And as you said, you can either listen to it and let it eat away at you, or you can take your beliefs and stand by them, and the heck with whatever anybody else says. So it doesn't get more simple than that in that situation, I don't think.
That's it. Yeah. And I can certainly, to your point, and I can agree with you to a degree that it is what it is. And to a certain extent, we're stuck with it. But I think at some point we're going to have to just push back. You know what I mean? We can't keep getting bullied and forced to bend the knee to this mob mentality. At some point, you're going to have to push back. And so that's what I want to do. If I have any voice whatsoever, is to inspire others to, hey, be strong and courageous and stand for your values. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. And when they come at you with all these false narratives, don't pay any attention to it. Move forward with your mission that the good Lord's put in front of you, and let's rock and roll.
Yeah. There you go. Spoken right from the mouth of the man himself. A couple other things that came up, I would say almost immediately after you released from the WWE, these issues obviously became more important at that point in time than they did previously, because nobody really talked about them beforehand. So I'm going to ask you a couple questions here, and you can answer yes or no, and we'll just leave it at that. How's that?
Sounds good, man.
All right, here we go. You ready?
Let's do it.
Ones. Are you or have you ever been a supporter or member of QAnon?
Absolutely not. And I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to follow up briefly. I can't just say
go for it.
No, yeah. So I never have subscribed to the Q theories. Those things, a lot of those theories, they just truly hurt the mission of fighting sex trafficking, and also hurt the conservative movement, because it causes people to just be lazy and be like, oh, wait for the storm. Oh, the storm's going to happen, and all this stuff. I don't subscribe to the Q theories. I never have. I've had friends that have followed some of it. Hey, more power to them. I don't know where that came from, and it just automatically you get tied in. If you happen to be a Republican, if you happen to be conservative, if you happen to be a supporter of President Trump, all of a sudden you're automatically a QAnon right-wing freak, and that couldn't be further from the truth for me. So I do know that the people that follow that, they're heavily against pedophilia. So I guess I might have that in common with them. But no, I am not a member, founder, or president of QAnon.
All right. And on that note, you had mentioned something there that I want to talk about, and I might as well talk about it now. Let's talk about your personal fight against sex trafficking. Tell me what it is that you do, what's involved. Let people know where they can go to find out more information about this particular fight that you are involved in.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate that. So a little over a year ago, my wife and I, we got involved in the ministry of fighting human trafficking. And what we do here locally in Florida, a lot of people may not be aware, but the state of Florida ranks third in the nation for rates of calls to the human trafficking hotline. That has to do a lot with our agricultural area, the large tourist attractions, and there's so many factors that go into it, and there's so many forms of trafficking. that happened here in Florida. And so, it just hit our heart, and we were like, gosh, we can't bury our heads in the sand on this. We got to do something about it. So what we do is we do awareness, outreach, fundraising, and then we work with the local human trafficking task force here in our county sheriff's department as well. A couple of resources for people that I would definitely invite you to visit, to A, get educated about, and B, if you feel compelled to donate to the cause, is I would go to bikersagainsttrafficking.org. That's an organization here in Central Florida. It's what it is. It's a group of bikers, and they are they made it their mission to fight modern day slavery, human trafficking, and they provide a lot of trauma and counseling and aftercare for victims that have been caught in the life. And then also I would invite you to go to ourrescue.org. That's for Operation Underground Railroad. On there, if you click join the fight, they have a lot of great resources, and they have a free know the signs of trafficking course where it's about 45 minutes. You can save your progress however you want to do it, where you can get educated on what human trafficking looks like and what you can do to help fight it. So ourrescue.org and bikersagainsttrafficking.org. That's two organizations that I definitely recommend checking out.
All right. And to our listeners, you have the websites right there. So if that's something that you would like to be actively participating in, visit those sites, check them out. Maybe it's something that you can help out, and at the very least, you maybe learn a thing or two. So
that's it.
Thank you for sharing that. The next little bone of contention. Apparently, at some point in time, you had shared a post on some social media site, and automatically you were a member of the Proud Boys. Want to go ahead and comment on that one?
I also am not a member. I'm also not a member, founder, or president, or anything to do with the Proud Boys. So I had a Parler account. It was new to the time. It was kind of an alternative to Twitter. Where Twitter, it just became a very toxic place where if you say the sky's blue, somebody's going to argue with you on that. And so, yeah. So I got a Parler. My wife was on Parler, and a feed came through about a large sex trafficking bust that happened through the government organization ICE. And so I favorited or liked they call them parlays. I believe they call them. It's the equivalent of a post or a tweet. And it happened to come from the Proud Boys account. And I didn't know there was any controversy about them or anything of the sort. And I know the founder of the Proud Boys is African American and Cuban, so I didn't think they were a white supremacist group or anything of the sort. I know that's the narrative that a lot of people throw on them. So the next day, I had all these screenshots of people attacking me, and I'm called into the office at work asking me if I'm a right-wing extremist or something of the sort like that. And it just goes to show you there's a double standard. There's hypocrisy going on big time, because, people in our industry and people that I worked with all last year, all summer, they helped. They raised funds to bail out rioters that were involved in the BLM and Antifa riots throughout our country. They were praised for raising funds for BLM Incorporated, which is a Marxist organization that seeks to destroy and disrupt the nuclear family and cause havoc in our nation and defund the police and all these things. They get praised for that, no problem. I simply like or follow a post from the Proud Boys, and all of a sudden I'm public enemy number one. It's the times that we're in, man. And that right there, it showed me, I was like, wow, look at these double standards that I'm involved in here. This is crazy. So there was a big shift right there. It really was.
Now, was that kind of a point where things started to take a turn for you professionally? Was that a big turning point there, or
yes,
something
absolutely.
happened before that?
Absolutely, yeah. Because all the dirt, the wannabe dirt sheet writers, the fake news dirt sheet writers, they just piled onto it and everything, and had all these, like I said, all these false accusations calling me a racist. Nobody in the business. I've been in the business for 20 years. Nobody's ever accused me of doing that. Everybody knows my heart, and they know that I'm not that. And as a matter of fact, if somebody says that, they're the racist because they're focusing on my skin color. You know what I mean? So no, it's absolutely ridiculous.
Okay. Yeah, you know, you're absolutely right. It keeps going back to what we were talking before about, false narratives and having to be accountable to strangers basically on the internet.
Yeah.
So, I'm glad to know your side of that directly from you.
Yeah.
Hopefully these things are clearing some things up for people.
Right.
And like I said before, if it does, it does. If it doesn't, it doesn't. This is our platform, and this is just another opportunity for you to talk and say what's on your mind. So, okay, so we've determined that you're not a member of QAnon. You are definitely not a member of the Proud Boys. So we got two of the big things on the way there.
Also, in case you're going to ask, I was not in Washington, D.C. on January 6th, in case you were going to ask.
I wasn't going to ask that, but now somebody's going to put that on a dirt sheet that you were there. Now you're denying it.
I was not in D.C. on January 6th.
All right. The next thing, religion. I know that you are a man of God. I'm a Christian as well.
Awesome.
I go to church every Sunday. Doesn't mean anything either way.
Sure.
Church can be, you say, oh, you go to church on Sunday, you're not a Christian. Well, whatever. But me and my family, I believe in God. Maybe not quite as outspoken as some people or yourself in your belief. But that's one thing that I'm glad to see that you don't waver from. People are going to judge you about that no matter what. But, I want to make it clear that I guess how I want to frame this is how much of your beliefs and opinions about some of the things that you are outspoken about are backed up, or do you try and back up with your religious beliefs? So is any of that even associated, I guess is what I'm asking. Are those two completely separate things in your life, or do they somehow tie together?
Right, absolutely. And as you alluded to, I am a born again Christian. I know the world likes to make fun of that term, born again, but 5 years ago, I recommitted my life to Jesus Christ, made him the Lord of my life, my Lord and Savior. And ever since then, I've been living for him. And through growing in my discipleship with Christ, you learn to love what God loves and hate what God hates, right? And so I try to base everything in my life from the word of God, from the gospel, from my faith. And yes, people can call it religion or whatever. It's my relationship with Christ. And I truly believe that he has me and so many others, you included. He has us here for such a time as this, where the world is attacking Christianity left and right, where people want to, suppress the faith, suppress biblical truth. And yes, everything that I stand for, I try to base it from a biblical standpoint. Now, I am a fallible, fallen man, so I am going to fall short. I'm going to sin, and I'm absolutely not going to get it right each and every single time.
Sure.
But yes, I try to base everything, even in the political sphere. You know what I mean? A lot of Christians, they like to say, "Oh, we don't get involved in politics." Well, if you don't get involved in the political arena is going to get involved in the church 100%, as we saw last year, where there were certain states that tried to say that churches couldn't gather. They tried to censor pastors. Tried to tell pastors how they could speak from the pulpit. And all this, this false guise of the Equality Act and all this stuff that's trying to pass through. Like Christians, at some point, it's time we gotta stop, pretending like there's this John Lennon Jesus that's just live and let live. Like Christ went into the temples and turned over the tables, and he said, "Not in my Father's house." Like there's a time where you got to be a warrior for Christ. There's a time where you had to have a little bit of civil disobedience and cause some good trouble for the kingdom of God. And I truly think that we're here for such a time as this. We really are.
Yeah. I agree with you on most of that. I think there
to
does come a time where you got to take a stand.
Some people are going to be more out there about that, and some people are, like supporting the frontline fighters. And that's in every battle. That's where it needs to be. There needs some people on the front line, some people that are supporting the fighters, some prayer warriors. You know what I mean? Everybody is equally important in the eyes of God. It doesn't matter what their celebrity, stature, whatever. Everybody is important in His sight.
I definitely like the fact that you just stated that right there. Is that everybody's equally important. There are no exclusions to that. Yep. So, it's very well put. There does come a point when you have to take a stand, but of course, there are limits to that. Even I would guess, even biblically, there's got to be a limit to that. In taking a stand against something, you can only go so far before you start treading into some waters that probably shouldn't be tread in. So, I appreciate those comments there. Let's talk real quick about the whole mask thing. Obviously, this was an issue that was very important to you, so important enough that you brought the argument to a very public forum. And of course, that was all over the internet shortly after that happened. Now that the majority of us are getting past that point where masks are not required by everybody, and we're at a point where you can say you're vaccinated and not be, and then you don't need to wear a mask. They got the signs on the door. If you've been vaccinated, you don't have to wear a mask. But if you haven't, please wear a mask. And of course, nobody's wearing masks. So, what is your current position on the whole mask and COVID thing? I know what it was before. I think we all know what it was before. Has there been any change in that now? Have your beliefs changed on either of those?
Yeah. So where I'm at with it, hey, if people want to wear a mask, if they want to take the vaccine, cool, on you, fantastic. But where I have an issue is when it becomes a mandate. Now you're trying to force somebody to cover their face and muzzle themselves and dehumanize themselves by wearing a mask. And I very much have an issue when it's forced upon children. We had a battle with the school board down here recently where Governor DeSantis, he lifted all local emergency COVID orders so they could not be enforced any longer. But yet the school boards still kept the masks on the kids. So the sector of society where this virus is least affects the children. This virus has a 99% survival rate as is, but children have very minimal effects from the virus. In our county, in our state, they're still having to cover their faces and be on bus stops in 95-degree weather in Florida and wear a mask for 7.5 hours a day. So that's where parents need to stand up and have a little bit of hold these school boards accountable and push back against that. So that's where I have an issue, is when it's forced upon people. And when it came to WWE, look, when COVID first happened, there was no mandate when it first happened with WWE. For the first month, WWE didn't even mention it, didn't put it over. It was just temperature checks, and that was it. I remember because we all, I'm talking like March, April 2020. Early on in all this, I'll never forget, because we didn't know the first couple of weeks. Nobody knew. We all thought, hey, we go outside the front door, we're all going to drop dead. So I came to work one day wearing one of the masks and had the gloves and the whole gimmick. And one of the office guys, they were laughing at me. They said, "Oh, you look like you're going to rob a bank." It's like, okay, I guess I'll take this off. And then stuff started to come out to where, okay, maybe this isn't as deadly as we thought it was going to be. And okay, we know who it affects, people with comorbidities and people who have pre-existing health conditions. Okay, got it. All right. So, but then they doubled down and then they tripled down. Now you got to wear a mask. You got to wear a mask when you come in the building. You got to get your temperature checked. If you happen to be in the same room with somebody that tested positive, you're going to have to stay home and self-isolate for 14 days and all these measures. And I get it. They were trying to navigate the waters. But then after the governor lifted the mandates, they were still hardcore about us putting on the masks. And then they came out and said, okay, they started pushing the vaccine hard, pushing the vaccine with this vaccine campaign. And for me, it just felt like a really deceptive agenda, how heavy they were promoting these vaccines and how many of the guys they were asking to promote these vaccines when, there's a lot of stuff coming out about how harmful they can be. Obviously, they're not FDA approved. It is in an experimental stage. And they're poking us with these PCR swabs each and every week. We were a part of a medical experiment. And look, I get it. Some people are like, yeah, just shut up and just do it. Just wear the dang mask. But it got to a point where I'm like, this is absolutely ridiculous. I was like, so you're saying in order for me not to come to work wearing a mask, that I have to show proof that I've had a vaccine that violates my religious liberty, because vaccines have aborted fetal tissue in them, and I'm a child of God, and that's against my faith. So I'm not going to do that. B, you're telling me that if I don't do that, then I have to cover my face up and wear a mask for a 12-hour TV day. Oh, except for when I'm in the ring, because apparently COVID doesn't spread when you're in the ring. It was all theater and it was all paraded. So, I pushed back and I was like, no, you know what? I'm not going to wear a mask. So the last couple of weeks I was there, I just came in and I didn't wear one.
Now, was there anybody else with that same view as
yes,
you
there was
doing the same thing? Okay.
There was tippy top guys that would come in and do the same thing. But look, they're high up on the ladder. I'm, referee, a total blow. I'm an easy target. You know what I mean? So, and I would talk to other guys. I was like, look, if we get together and let's talk to the medical department and talk about how actually wearing this mask is worse for us, wearing this all day, how worse that is for us, as opposed to actually, the benefits of it, maybe we could get somewhere. And I was like, oh, no, just do our own thing. I'm like, gosh, I really wish some other guys would have came together and we could have made a little impact there. But well,
I'm sure that's a limb not many people are wanting to stand on, because they're
I got to the point where I was like, look, I knew my days were numbered. And my heart had not been there in a while. And I just been talking, I've been praying to the Lord. I was like, God, I don't feel right being here. If I'm supposed to be here, keep the store open. If I'm not, let the store be closed. And literally within a few days, that door closed. And I was like, okay, this is all God right now. He's getting me out of here just the right time.
Right. Okay. Well, this is just refreshing to hear this coming from you,
Yeah. And I want to make it clear, I am happy. I am so happy. I've never been more happier in my career. And and on top of that, hey, I'm not mad. WWE in a different direction. They're going with an agenda that they're following. And that's fine. That doesn't cancel out the 7 years prior that I had to that, where, my gosh, I got to quote unquote live the dream, travel the world as a part of WWE, multiple WrestleManias in front of 75, 80,000 people, Monday Night Raw, SmackDown, NXT, 30 something takeovers. Man, I incredible, absolutely incredible. So blessed. And I thought that that was the highest point of my life that I was going to get. But, the Lord pulled me in a different direction to where yes, I kind of lived my dream professionally there, but now I got battles that I got to take on for the kingdom of God. So that's where I'm at right now. And, I'm grateful for the time there. They went in a different direction, didn't want to be a part of it. So I pushed back, and it is what it is.
Well, as they say in the business, you had a good run, kid, right?
Great run, brother.
Yeah.
Great run.
Just a couple more things here, man, and we'll wrap this up, because we've touched a lot of the hot button topics that people wanted to know about. Really, we know you've got you're going to be appearing for Heroes and Legends this October, which is I'm the director of operations for Heroes and Legends Wrestling out here in Fort Wayne. So you're going to be coming to see us, and we haven't announced any plans for you yet, but I'm pretty sure we got some. We know there are a lot of people that are excited to see you It'll be great to see you again after the long time that it has been. What do you have coming up until then, appearance-wise? You going to be showing up anywhere to do some wrestling? Are you ready to get back into that swing of things?
Yeah, I am incredibly excited to come in for Heroes and Legends and return to my home state, the Hoosier State, up there in Fort Wayne, Indiana. I'm incredibly excited for that. And, I am going to be Drake Younger here and there. Absolutely. I am taking some bookings, and it's going to be. And look, there have been people that have reached out to me and they're like, man, I want to book you. I just can't handle any pushback or backlash. I'm like, hey, man, I get it. That's fine. You let the cancel culture's coming. Hey, it is what it is. But for me, I know that, you can't be canceled when you're working for Christ and when you're working for the right reasons. I want to contribute to the wrestling business for those that want to have me. I want to help the next generation. Like I said, I am in the absolute best physical condition of my life. I just had my first match back this past Saturday at a human trafficking benefit show that I ran down here. That I ran down here in Orlando. Had a 25-minute street fight with a young up-and-comer Nick Stanley, who's an incredible pro wrestler. So felt great to be in the ring. Like I said, man, I'm going to do this when I want to and do it for fun companies that want to do good business. I have, Heroes and Legends, October 2nd, July 25th. I'm in Pompano Beach, Florida for Daily Wrestling, an upstart company that's going on here in Florida. July 31st, I got a couple autograph signings up in New York City and the New Jersey area. September, I'm coming back to ICW in Milwaukee, there in the Midwest. September, I'll be out in California for an appearance that hasn't quite been announced yet, so I can't give too many details. So I'm kind of going back to all these old territories that I used to be a part of, and like I said, man, I want to give back. I want to have fun. Like, wrestling, when it's done right, and it is the greatest form of entertainment in the world. I think what people believe, who they follow, who they vote for, all that stuff, that should just be left at the door, and you should be judged on how you perform in the ring and how you treat people in the locker room. And one thing that people can always say about me, anytime I was in the locker room with anybody, treated them with the absolute utmost respect. I always believe in the adage that when we come to a show and I extend my hand to you to shake your hand and that we're working with each other that night, that's my promise to you, that I'm going to get you home to your family in the same condition that you left them in. And we're going to go out there, we're going to have an incredible show, and these people are going to be walking away with smiles on their faces, and we're going to give this promoter his money's worth, because that's what pro wrestling is about, man. It's incredible.
And I got to agree with that 100%. Leave everything else at the door because you came to put on a show, and that's what the mindset should be. So,
so that's what I have. That's what I have appearance-wise. Also, toward the end of the summer, and this is the first place where I'm even mentioning it, I am working on a podcast of my own. I'm sorry, you probably hear my dryer there in the background, but I am working on a podcast of my own, a one-of-a-kind podcast where we are going to speak about wrestling. We're going to speak about family. We're going to speak about faith. We're going to speak about politics. We're going to bring it all together, and it's going to be a one-of-a-kind. It's going to be called Uncanceled. Uncanceled with Drake Wuertz is coming to a podcast platform near you very soon. So I have that as well. And then here locally here in Central Florida, heavily involved in my local GOP and helping strong candidates run in the office for these 2022 midterms. Because like it or not, man, we got a country we got to save, and we need strong, bold patriots that are jumping in the game, getting some skin in the game, willing to fight for God-honoring platforms and save our country.
Ladies and gentlemen, you heard it here first. New podcast coming from Drake Wuertz. I know I'll be tuning into that. Hopefully today we touched on some topics that everybody wanted to know Drake's opinion and stances on. Hopefully nobody is banging their head in a corner right now after listening to something I told them not to listen to at the very beginning if they were going to get hurt about it. But I'm really hoping that everybody that listens now at least has an understanding of Drake's opinions and his positions on certain matters that you may have heard about, or as I said, read on the dirt sheets. we came here today to iron out those creases, and hopefully we did that job for a number of people. Drake, I can't wait to see you in October. It can't get here fast enough. I'm going to give you this opportunity to talk about all of your social media, where people can contact you for bookings. I want you to mention the websites again that you mentioned previously as well. This is your time to let everybody know where they can find you, where they can follow you, and all that good stuff. So the floor is yours, my friend.
Thank you so much. So you can find me on Instagram. I've gained a lot of followers and I've lost a lot of followers lately. So you can find me on Instagram at the Drake Wuertz. That's TheDrakeWuertz. I'm also on Facebook under Drake Wuertz. It's open. Feel free to add me, follow me. You can pick up my t-shirts at prowrestlingtees.com/Drake Younger. For human trafficking awareness, go to OURrescue.org. bikersagainsttrafficking.org, and for anybody out there that follows the word of God, be strong, be courageous, be bold, stand for truth. Christ said we were going to be persecuted for following him, so consider it all joy, my friends. Y'all have a blessed day.